Hey, welcome to Travels with Dottie. I ran into something this week that really surprised me, and it wasn't just about my solar system. My batteries said they were full, but they weren't, and it caused a problem that caught me completely off guard. But here's the part that stuck with me. I already knew everything I needed to know to prevent it. That I had all the information. I just hadn't put it together the right way. And once I saw that, I started realizing this isn't just about the batteries. The issue wasn't that I didn't understand my system, it was that I trusted a number that only made sense under certain conditions. And I didn't realize those conditions hadn't been met. And that got me thinking, how many things in my life look right on the surface, but are actually built on assumptions that I haven't questioned in a long time? I started seeing a pattern, not just this, but with a lot of other frustrations I've had over the years. Things that were completely fixable, but I lived with them anyway. And not because I didn't know better, but because I never stopped to question the way I was doing them. When I got thinking about this, the examples of this kept flooding to me. The first one was I have this spare phone that I would use at night to listen to books on tape or videos, and I would fumble with trying to get it behind the bed and all the cords, and I just put up with the annoyance of it not having a convenient place. And I did that for 2 years. And then one day I realized, there's a wall right at the head of the bed, and I'm sure they're inexpensive things, little shelves and pockets I can put on the wall. And sure enough, there are a million of them out there. And I got one for like $4 and stuck it to the wall. And, and the phone goes in it. And the nightly annoyance for 2 years was gone overnight. Another one was the rig came with a small TV. I mean, really small. It was on a mount over the kitchen counter that faced where I sit. But it was so small, there like every time there was like writing or something on a screen, even with my glasses, I couldn't see it. I put up with it for 2 years. And then suddenly one day I thought I could just get a bigger TV. A bigger TV would fit in there. So I went from like I don't know, it was like a 19-inch to a 32-inch. It fit on the rack just fine. And my multiple year problem was gone overnight. Now again, I knew about other TVs. I was capable of knowing I could do that, but it just never occurred to me. It's like I'd rather live with the inconvenience. It's very odd. When I first got the rig, the trailer, the slide out had a dinette in it. And at first I thought, hey, this is great. I can eat on there. I can put my computer on there, use it as a desk, and I could just turn sideways when I want to watch TV and get some pillows and stuff. Well, none of that was comfortable. But I thought to myself, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And then like months later, I realized there's plenty I can do about it. There's nothing stopping me from ripping that whole thing out of there, putting in a nice, comfortable recliner and a little desk and chair. That's exactly what I did. And poof, the inconvenience was gone overnight. And it's one of my favorite parts of my rig. Another one popped up, Starlink. Right? I have one of the original Starlinks. It's big, it's bulky, it's on a motor and everything. And when I would travel, I'd have to get it out and set it up and boot it up. And it was kind of a pain in the neck. And I knew that some people were buying, a couple years in, I knew when they started selling the Starlink Mini, a lot of people were just mounting it to their rigs. And I kept thinking, nah, that's not for me. I don't know why. Because one day I woke up and I said, why am I not doing that? And my excuse was, well, the smaller one will have slower downloads. And then I realized the difference would make zero difference to me with what I do. And that's exactly what happened. I got rid of the big one. I gave it away, made someone's day by giving it away, got the mini permanently, well, not permanently, but permanent for me until I decide differently. It's on the roof. And because I have the inverter and the batteries going, even when I'm driving down the road, it's working. I don't have to think about it. That problem went away. That pain in the neck for years went away overnight. Then a thing that plagued me from day one was storage, in particular in the bed of my pickup truck. Right? I'm pulling my trailer. I've got what they call a tonneau cover. It's a flat cover and you can store things in there. And it was like a Tetris puzzle every time I had to pack. And there was always just barely enough room in there. And I put up with it for 3 years. Then suddenly it dawned on me, there's caps that people everywhere, that I've seen everywhere for my whole life. You put a cap on, not a flat cover, but a cap that basically almost doubles the storage space. Why don't I do that? And I go, well, of course. And that problem was eliminated overnight. And I have more space than I need. Incredible. Then here was the one that really got to me after I started thinking about this stuff. This happened. I wrote a book in 1990 called Resolution Trust. I was between jobs and I was in a creative mood, and I wrote this adventure about this guy getting involved in a mystery and a government scandal and a romance and a murder. And it was just a real thriller mystery. And I loved spending time writing that book. So I wrote it and tried to get it published. Of course, I couldn't get it published. But then in 2015, I said, hey, I can upload it for free to Amazon. And I did that. And I found out pretty quickly, because I'm a terrible editor. I wasn't going to pay for someone to edit it. I'd get feedback like, I loved your story, but there's a lot of typos and, stuff that ends in the middle of the page. It was a mess. So I cleaned it up as best I could, and I reloaded it up there, and it didn't do well. And I sort of I know to really make this a good book, it would take a lot of effort and time to make sure everything's formatted right and that there aren't any obvious logical mistakes and misspellings in it, and that the chapters are broken up properly and the story flows. I can't afford the time, and I'm not going to pay somebody to do that. Then I realized, talking to a client who just wrote a biography, an autobiography, and he had artificial intelligence help him edit it. And I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that. So I did the same thing. And it basically looks through chapter by chapter, says, here are the spelling mistakes, here's the formatting mistakes, here's some suggestions for how flow may do better. And very quickly, I was able to really polish this thing down to something I'm really proud of. And it only took a day. And I just published it. I just republished the new version of it on Amazon. And this time I found out I can do a paperback version too. That's still under review, but that should be available pretty soon. But I'll if you're interested, I'm just, for the Kindle thing, it's $4.99. And with Kindle, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you can do programs where it'll read out loud to you just like an audiobook. I think I'm charging $4.99. I really thought I was stuck and I was never going to revisit that book again. And now I'm excited about it after so 1990 is like over 36 years ago, and I'm excited about it again. And you hear Dottie whining. Dottie does not much like it when I sit and talk to you and she's not the center of attention. Dottie, you want to come up? Come here. Come here. You can come up. Come on. Okay. Good girl. The truth is, I wasn't stuck. I was just operating under a belief that wasn't really valid. Right? And the belief was, I can't do anything about this with way more effort than I'm willing to put in. I might as well not think about it anymore. The belief wasn't true. And I realized the thread that went through all these things is I was hanging on to beliefs, in some cases subconsciously, that were just wrong. And I didn't realize it. And it maybe then I thought about the 9 dots, right? And the 9 dots is a puzzle, and you know it better as the saying, think outside the box. And all it is there's a puzzle that's got 9 dots on a piece of paper, and you have to take a pencil and draw 4 straight lines, not leaving the paper, to connect all the dots. And nobody can do it. And the reason no one can do it is that we see 9 dots all arranged like that, and it looks like a square. So we think, okay, that's a square. Then we make up a rule. At least I do, and everybody else I know, that square, you're not allowed to go beyond that. But that rule was never there. I made it up. And the solution to that problem is to draw the first line, escape the box, come up, down diagonally. I won't bore you with the particulars, but that's where the term thinking outside the box. And what it means is the box isn't real. We made it up. And once you remove that false belief, more is open to you. And that's, to me, it's an amazing thing. It's all about understanding the beliefs that we all have that hold us back, right? And that's what all these examples were for me. And and I realized too, things started really clicking with me. There's a thing that I work on. I'm a therapist, and I work with people on things that get them stuck in life. They keep running into the same roadblocks, and often I will find that there's an old belief that they developed, often in childhood, that they carry with them into adulthood. And sometimes the belief might have worked in childhood, but in adulthood, it doesn't work at all, right? And conditions change. With aging, we change, environments change, and if we don't change the rules with what changes in our life, we're doomed. The person that introduced me to this concept had a great example that I won't take credit for, but it's great. He says a belief that we have when we grow up is to look both ways before crossing the street. And then here's the natural thing we all do. We we look to the left, all right? If no one's coming, we step out off the curb and look to the right to make sure there's no one there. If there's no one there, we keep walking. And that works and keeps us safe our whole life. It's a functional belief, unless you go to England, and then it'll kill you. Think about that. The guy that told the story said he was in England, and he did that. He looked left, and he took a step off the curb, and a bus came along the curb and almost nailed him. Because he realized, I'm in a different environment. There's never anything coming from the left in England. Everything's coming from the right. Same belief, different conditions and different environment, and the belief didn't account for it. So it's like things really started coming together for me. And then I thought, retirement, aging, all these things that I had these beliefs about. And luckily, I was able to, with help watching YouTubers and stuff, I was able to smash those beliefs. I never had a belief that I could have a happy, wonderful life in retirement, living in an RV. It's like, that didn't seem possible, right? I looked at old age as, you see somebody with a cane or moving slowly, and I just feel so sorry for them. Oh, it must be so terrible being old. Now that I'm here, I realize, yeah, I walked with a cane for a while before I got my hip replacement, and things are physically harder, but everything else in my life is so much better than it was. Those old people that I'd seen when I was younger had been keeping a secret from me. The secret was, so for so many of them, like me, this is the best time of my life. So my back aches and I move a little slower, and I got some aches and pains. I got arthritis in my hand. I had to have a hip replacement, but that is just so not the point now. Everything is so much better. And because I was able to throw out old ideas about what retirement should look like, both logistically and financially, I was able to have this life that I love so much. So, with all these things that I've told you about, and one of the things that I naturally wonder at this point is, what else have I been missing? What am I missing today that could be better because I'm carrying around something that I believe to be true? It isn't true. You know, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I sure enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoy coming along with me. When am I going to see you again? I'm going to see you, and Dottie and I are going to see you tomorrow.